immigration attorney with your thought for today. Our, our thought for today is coming straight from the White House. Millions of people's of life, millions of people's of lives. Um, so I'm going to record this first in English and then in Spanish. Following, we are going live on a much broader scale right now. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. So if you have your favorite social media, you can check us out there and forward this invitation. So I will be going more in depth in about a month. We're going to have a scheduled live event on July 19th. And that is hopefully we'll have far more information than I'll have for you today. Today, I'm going to go over the announcement and what we know so far. July 19th, I'm anticipating that we're going to have a lot more detail, such as when the law is going to begin, what kinds of applications we can submit, everything that you need to know. All right, so for today, we're going to go over one of two announcements. There were two major announcements this week. A lot of people are focusing on the first one related to marriage. That one I'm going to go into later on, separately in a separate video, separate live. For today, for right now, what we're going to review is DACA recipients and people with university degrees. So the announcement involved people speeding up the process to obtain a work visa and clarifying what needs to be done in order to obtain a work visa. They are focusing on people with university degrees, which is a huge deal. Thousands upon thousands of people are here from other countries studying here, obtaining their university degrees here. At minimum, you will need a bachelor's degree, and they're looking at people who obtain their bachelor's degree and get a job in their field. So whatever they studied at university, that's what the U.S. government wants you to get a job in. So if you studied engineering, the most ideal would be an engineering job of some kind, maybe a STEM field job would be okay. That's the part of the rule that we don't know exactly what kind of people will qualify, what qualifications a person needs to have. And so what they're looking at is benefiting the people who have, I imagine if you have an F1 student visa, this is going to come in extremely handy after you graduate. But the biggest part of that news relates to DACA recipients. So a DACA recipient who has a university degree will also be included as part of this expedited work permit process and part of the clarification. So they're going to clarify who qualifies for it. And they have already started to announce on the news that DACA recipients will be included. So I don't know what that rule is exactly going to look like yet, but it is very good news. So y'all need to stay tuned, watch the news, talk to your attorney, talk to an experienced immigration attorney about this. This is an opportunity, a huge opportunity for you to take advantage of. Do not waste this precious opportunity talking to people who don't know. Okay, you don't want to go to the cheapest price. You don't want to go to the person, your next door neighbor who's going to help you, and they know nothing about immigration law. You need to go to people who are already experienced. Here's why. Is even without knowing the exact rules that are involved, what I do know is that everyone's going to go through a background check. That is a must. If you have some type of criminal history, negative criminal history, that is going to be an issue for you. If you are somehow a threat to the community, generally the US government will check to see if you're a threat to national security. There's a very small percentage of people who fit into that category. The greater percentage are people who are threats to their local communities. You will absolutely have to deal with that if, especially, and this is where the US government is fairly consistent as far as um, all visa applications, all types of family petitions, employment visas versus DACA versus TPS, everything you can think of. If you have a DWI, if you have a DUI, driving under the influence of a substance, if you're driving while intoxicated of a substance, whether it's legal or illegal, the federal government checks that and marks it as a threat to the community. Because if you do not have control over your body, whether it's a pharmaceutical drug that you were prescribed, a pharmaceutical drug that's legal that you were not prescribed, even if it's over the counter, if it's alcohol, which is legal for the most part, it's most alcohol that's sold, especially in a store, is legal, and of course, illegal drugs. Any of those things that affect the way you can control your body, the way you can control your mind, your speech, the way you speak, uh, all of that can contribute to not being able to drive, right? And if you're not able to drive and yet you get in your car and you try to drive, then and you're stopped by a cop and you're arrested and everything that happens after that, if you're charged with that, and especially if you're convicted of that, the federal government will make it harder for you to obtain these visas. So whether it's the visa that we're going to talk about today or the work permit process, whatever the government's going to call it, is to be determined. I can guarantee you that they will be looking at that. So if you have that in your background, you must absolutely see an attorney, an experienced immigration attorney. And of course, if you have any negative immigration history, if you have prior deportations, if you have something there that's questionable that might set off a red flag to the federal government, these two announcements that were made this week will be part, the negative immigration history will be part of that application. I can guarantee it. The President Biden, is trying to uplift the economy, boost the economy. He wants to uplift people who might have, DACA recipients, for example, have to renew their cards, their work permits every 2 years without knowing whether this is going to benefit them in the long run on a long-term basis, right? What they're talking about here are great potentials for something more long term. And that is phenomenal, phenomenal news. I really hope everyone's excited about this because F1 students, especially graduates, people who have completed their bachelor's degree, I'm going to go an extra step and say maybe master's degree level as well. It's so perfect for you. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal update that the Biden administration made this week. So that's the update for now regarding that. What we don't know yet is when this is going to begin. They've only announced later this summer, so we don't have a date. I am hoping to know something more by July, which is why I will be hosting a special live just to talk about and address questions and comments related to these two updates. And what we don't know also is what kind of application we can submit. Can we submit it online? There's so many applications that are available to submit online, but you do need an account. You do need to provide the standard evidence that we are always asked to provide. One thing we do know is that these rules, the things that we have to abide by, should have been done by June 17th or earlier. Okay. Uh, Part of this is for the marriage law, which I'll get into in a separate live. But for those with university degrees, what they're saying, and we have to get into this into more detail as soon as the federal government provides that to us. But what they're saying is June 17th or earlier. The qualifications need to happen before or on June 17th or earlier. All right. So this is great news for dreamers. Dreamers are being protected. I think probably the most highly sympathetic group of people in the United States. Um, of course, there are other categories of people, but dreamers are in this strange position of being or feeling, maybe experiencing, maybe growing up in a very strong Americanized way while not being a citizen, while not being a resident, while having a home country that is now foreign to them. And so we see administration after administration continuing to protect people. What I will say is that right now, DACA can only be renewed by DACA recipients. We still cannot file initial applications. Some attorneys have gone as far as filing the initial applications in the hope of having that part of the rule lifted. That has not happened in many years. So, this new rule announced today is for people who have their DACA approved, they're current on their renewals, they have the work permits in their hands, and then being able to add this extra part, which we will learn about soon, um, and having that become an asset. It is a huge asset to be able to expand um, these policies, these rules to dreamers. Dreamers make the dream come alive. We all know that a huge percentage of dreamers are very well educated. They have their minimum a bachelor's degree. Many have master's degrees. Home ownership, car ownership is extremely high amongst dreamers. Um, they tend to have approximately 2 children. So there's a lot of information there that dreamers are heavily contributing and pulling their weight in this society, paying taxes, making sure things get done. Their children are being educated, well educated in the US system. So there's many, many positives there. They are fierce. Dreamers are just fierce in fully participating in US society. So I'm very, very happy that the government has acknowledged once again that dreamers need to continue to get protected. But I want you to stay tuned. Good things are coming. Very good things are coming, and we want to be there to help you. So for those who can see the QR code, please click on the QR code. Those followers on Instagram who cannot see my QR code, I will post on the comments how you can contact my office. You can click on this QR code, take a picture. It will send you to a calendar, and you'll be able to set up an appointment according to your schedule. That schedule is available for everyone to see. And so you can make your initial appointments. We can talk to you about your specific case. As always, we evaluate and analyze each case individually. So even if your cousin's mother's sister's aunt had the exact same case that you do and she got approved, you want to make sure that an experienced immigration attorney is evaluating your case. because it's evaluating your behavior, your history in the United States, the things that you've done, the things that you've achieved or not achieved, not your sister's cousin's mother's aunt, right? You leave those examples, those are great examples, and sometimes the cases do seem very similar, but as they say in English, the devil is in the details. The details are what matter, and that's why each case needs to be evaluated one by one. All right, so that's the update from the White House today. I will be back with another live with part 2 to talk about the marriage, being married to a U.S. citizen. That one is a really, really unique, fascinating announcement. So I want to make sure that you all hear about that and that you all understand where we are today. Okay, there will be more updates with more details, but I want to make sure that you understand what was announced and who it applies to. All right, I'll be back with another video in Spanish. Make sure to check us out. You can give us a call at 956-831-1424. We do accept cases nationwide because immigration law is federal law and it applies across the United States. All right, thank you so much. Belia Peña here, immigration attorney, with your thought for today.